that kind of thing. So enough of that stuff. What a segue. So, the big reveal that you've been waiting for this whole entire episode is this is gonna be delaying a lot of episodes, and so I'll dive into that and dive into the reasons for that. So the thing is with the James Rambling show is that we've been pumping out all these episodes of me rambling on and with guests and stuff like that, and I haven't realised I should take a break. So it's like, now that I've realised I've made so much videos, I've talked so much, why don't I just take a break now? And I think I should do that. And also, it's just because like there's actually things going on in November for me that I should be focusing on rather than next week.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the James Rambling Show, coming at you live on Friday night. Tonight's your host, James May.
Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Show. Another episode, and this might be the last episode for now, and I will definitely explain that. And also, right before we jump into this, so like it's November, the 1st of November, and I'm recording this at that time. I'm pre-recording it just so that I can get it out of the way and that kind of thing. And we might go on a few tangents as well, as per usual. We usually do that on this show, and then you've got the new James Rambling reviews episode out, and yeah, so let's. Actually, you know what? I'll save all the announcement stuff for later, and I'll try to go on a few tangents before we get into that. So, to just start off the whole video episode, should firstly probably talk about how my day was just to build it up. So today it was school. Just a regular day at school, right? It was really really hot today. Like, oh man. It was absolutely like one of the hottest days ever, like, because in New Zealand right now in November usually is like summer. So like the thing is, when it gets to November it gets really hot, and December's really hot as well. And up to I think like summer lasts about until November to like February or something. I could be wrong about that, but so there's that. But it was just like really just at school today, normal day, kind of just revising for my exams, because every subject today was like, for first today I had English, right, and we just did unfamiliar texts and that stuff. Then did that, and then it was break time, and then after that, I had chemistry, and I found out that I actually passed a test in that class, right. Basically, we could actually research this thing. Like, we didn't even need to look. We didn't really need to study for that, right? It was just kind of crazy. Like, you'd think, oh, you'd have to study for this, but no. In this one paper, right? This one paper that we were doing, you didn't even need to study for it. And then after that, right, I had maths, just kind of revising for the exam, and any classics. The thing is with classics, right? Today in classics, it was a bit of an interesting day in classics. Because like, my teacher, Mr. Johnson's leaving, does that, and then there was also like me and my friends, they went on about my humour and all of that, because my humour isn't really. I have like really cheesy jokes. Like, there's this one joke that was like, why would someone go to Cuba because there's so many cubes? It's that kind of bad level of cheesy humour. So there's definitely all of that, and you think to yourself, why are you bringing this up? But you classically know me for the tangents, so I'm bringing you the tangents, right? Because you won't actually be seeing me for a very, well, I know I'm making it feel exaggerated, but you won't see me for a long well, not a long time, but like a little while. And before we get into that, since it is November, why don't we dive into a few topics surrounding November, right? So the topics around November is like, you have the whole No Nut November thing. You have Guy Fawkes Day. You have Thanksgiving. You have Movember, which we could really just dive into right now. So as you can see, right, I've shaved, so I've literally defeated the purpose of um Movember, because Movember is basically supposed to be this whole idea where you can't shave your beard for an entire month, and so I never shaved my beard. I shaved my beard today, right, and I had like a cold shower, new man, new month type thing, but yeah, that whole thing, it's all just about like um it's all just about not shaving, because it's to do with like men's prostate cancer, and I get that's a big deal, but like, I just it's got really, and it's really hot as well. So why would I want to keep this beard? Plus I feel a bit more fresh without it. I know I really look like a baby, right? I look like a freaking 12-year-old when I don't have this whole thing going on. But like but I had to do it because it's just really hot this time of year. I don't want to have a giant stuffy beard and it's just sweaty. Ooh, don't want that at all. Right, so what else did I say? Right, there was Guy Fawkes Day, Thanksgiving. Right, we'll go to that, and then we might go to That November as well. That's going to be an interesting topic to dive into there. Or like a little tangent, I guess you could say. So, Guy Fawkes Day, right, my thoughts on that. That's actually towards the start of the month, whereas the other two, right, one of them's at the end of the month, and then the other kind of event is supposed to be all around the month. Like it's supposed to last all the way to the end of November. But so the one I'm talking about, November 5th, Guy Fawkes Day. This is like this whole thing about how literally this guy won but he blew up this apartment building, right, because he hated politicians, and his name was Guy Fawkes. And the way it's not like a fox, like the animal fox. It's FAWKES, I think. So that's how his name is spelled, right? And he basically wanted to blow this whole apartment building up, and so because of that, it became this whole thing where Guy Fawkes Day is about fireworks, spring sparkles, and bonfires and stuff like that. And so that's the whole thing, and it's not really I used to be into it as a kid, but I will say that with the whole Guy Fawkes Day thing, I wasn't really that into sparklers, like those sparkler things that's called shh, and you hold it right, you get this whole stick thing, and then you go shh, and it's like it's fiery stuff like that. I didn't want to touch it because I was kind of afraid of that, and I've never mentioned that on the show before, but I've actually been really scared, really scared of like touching hot things, like if you touch something hot, you obviously you get a bit of you burn yourself, people who burn themselves while they're cooking and that kind of thing. But yeah, Guy Fawkes Day, I don't really celebrate it. I don't really understand it either, because you're literally just doing fireworks. It may be fun and everything, and apparently, right, it's banned in New Zealand, like fireworks. Fact check me. This is not the most official source of information you're ever going to get. So yeah, Guy Fawkes Day, that's my thoughts on it. It doesn't really make any sense. So Thanksgiving, right, this is like the other November event. Is like, I think it's on the 25th of November or whatever, every year. Basically the story behind that is like Americans, it's usually an American holiday, right? These Americans, like, they go have like chicken and everything, they get together with their family, and it's like this whole big deal. But the thing is, right, the irony is, right, they're giving thanks to their family members, but I actually heard that they're sort of giving thanks to the people that invaded, like the people who invaded America, or when America invaded countries, or something like that, right? I don't really know so much about it. So like, if somebody's like, "Oh, you got that wrong, James," because that's not actually how how Thanksgiving works, or whatever, and there might be some Americans that are like, "Oh, he got it completely wrong, right? He's delusional, he's." That's not how we celebrate Thanksgiving. We don't give thanks to colonizers. So there's all those ideas around it. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, right, the one time I noticed about Thanksgiving was like when I saw it in like Big Bang Theory, that whole sitcom that I talked about before, Right, I saw that in Big Bang Theory, where you just seen them watch like American football while they're eating fat Thanksgiving dinner. And to be honest, it seems like from what it seems, Thanksgiving is like a lighter version of Christmas, where like you have the chicken and the dad that the family get together, but there's no present opening and like the other Christmassy stuff you'd see at Christmas and that kind of thing. So that's my thoughts on Guy Fawkes Day, and Thanksgiving, and those other tangents that we wanted to dive into. Because obviously, like I said, if this whole episode was about, oh my gosh, guys, going on a break, delaying episodes, the episode wouldn't be long enough, so we have to kind of fill in the gaps here and do a bit of tangenting like you always knew me to do. So, yeah, with that said, right, oh wait, I just remembered, we're gonna be. I talked about no, not November, right, and I talked about Movember as well, right. I've kind of lost track because I've just kind of jumped all over the place here, but I just want to give you some tangents, like you always wanted, right? Because that's what I'm known for here. So with that said, right, um, no, not November, right. What are my thoughts on that? So before I dive into my thoughts on that whole thing, it is like it's something because the whole concept of No Nut November is you basically go a month without like masturbating and stuff like that, and this is gonna be weird, but I've kind of confessed a weird thing before on the show about things, so is it gonna really make a difference here? So it's like this whole thing where there's this whole collection of people that like do not in November because it's gonna make you bad, it's bad for you, like that. You have the no fap community where they just this whole thing of you shouldn't not, you should not. But the thing is with that is that there's this thing called moderation where you basically do something like occasionally, but you don't do it constantly, right? It's like taking drugs, right? You don't want to take drugs, so you just do it every now and again, or you drink beer every now and again. Because if somebody gets really addicted to something, they're going to get really obsessed and they're going to form habits. So the thing is, we know not November. I'm not like somebody who absolutely embraces it and goes 30 days without doing that kind of thing. But I'm not somebody who's like, yeah, you should not all the time. I'm kind of on the fence with this, and it's kind of cringe that I say that because it's such a weird holiday. It's just like, okay, let's go a month without doing something. Like literally, Movember is that concept of you can't shave for a month. But Movember seems more logical than No Nut November, if I'm being honest there. So yeah, like that whole thing is just what? Like, come on, like, it's just, and some people can't help themselves as well, so it's like, you kind of have to think of that, you have a lot of men who really just cannot escape the porn addiction and that kind of thing, so enough of that stuff. What a segue. So, the big reveal that you've been waiting for this whole entire episode is this is gonna be delaying a lot of episodes, and so I'll dive into that and dive into the reasons for that. So the thing is with the James Ramblin' show is that we've been pumping out all these episodes of me rambling on and with guests and stuff like that, and I haven't realised I should take a break. So it's like, now that I've realised I've made so much videos, I've talked so much, why don't I just take a break now? And I think I should do that. And also, it's just because like there's actually things going on in November for me that I should be focusing on rather than next week new episode over everything else that's going on in my life. So I'm gonna explain the other stuff that I kind of want to push basically the show to the side due to that. So the first thing is, right, I've got exams coming up, and I've mentioned how I was revising today for school and all of that, and I've been doing that for a little while now, right? So I want to try and put the show aside and try and just study a lot so that I'm not going to fail my exams, you know what I mean? Because I'm close to passing the year, but it's like, I want to still try and get more credits despite that, right? So there's that. That's a reason why. Also, I'm seeing Louis C.K. with my dad November 19th, which, that's only one day, but like before that, I'm gonna have a few exams under my belt, so I can't really just be like, yeah, make a new episode, make a new episode, make a new episode, make a new episode, kind of thing. So yeah, and that's gonna be on a Saturday, and I have looked into Louis C.K.'s comedy, so I should be good to go with that. And he's a funny guy, I think. Right, he's one of the most famous comedians ever, and I know I'm gonna continue on with everything else, but I just want to say, right, I never mentioned this on the show, but I was actually gonna go to this I was actually gonna go to Isaac Butterfield's comedy show with my dad, but that guy, right, I've talked high praise of this guy before, but literally he said, I'm cancelling the show because I've got personal family reasons, right? And obviously, right, if you have personal family reasons, I understand that. But he's like, I'll get back to you guys. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, mate. Don't worry, mate. Don't worry, mate. And basically, he never did that. He literally never did that. And so, because he never did that, we were just like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Right? And it's like a 90-minute drive. I know I went to the museum to see all that stuff, because I did actually go to a museum, right? I basically went to this museum. I went to this museum to see all this classical stuff and all this history, right? And that's in Auckland, where, Isaac Butterfield wanted us to go up to Auckland because clearly he didn't have enough tickets in New Zealand, which is weird because he was actually kind of like famous in New Zealand, because he became infamous because of his joke about the Christchurch attack and stuff. But like, yeah, honestly, man, ho ho ho. I went on a tangent there, but I just had to get it off my chest because I was just thinking of that comedian show, right? I was thinking of the comedian show. I was like, okay, I got to kind of break this down and tell you guys because it's quite an interesting story. Like, this guy just he didn't let us come to the show because family, personal reasons, ironically, because I'm gonna tell you after a while, and it's like, he never told you. And it's like, and I've been tuning out him because of it. It's fucking annoying. So that aside, right, that little rant aside, the other reason why I'm not going to be making any episodes is this one month for the James Ramblin' Show is we might do a couple of reviews, maybe, we'll see. But because of, I'm going to the South Island, which I've never been to the South Island before. It's going to be an interesting experience. I'm going to be there for a week. It's going to be the end of November, so we're not going to be able to think about doing any episodes. It's going to have some fun time in the South Island. So there'll be no time to think about making videos. They'll just be having fun time. And probably when I come back, right, when I make a comeback on episode 46 of the show, I think, because we'll be on episode 46, I think. We won't have any other episodes. So when I come back, I might give you guys like a sort of, like what I thought about the comedian Louis C.K. show, because that is not going to that's going to sell out, unlike the Isaac Butterfield one. He's a famous comedian. There is no way that show isn't selling out. Right, so I'll give you my thoughts on maybe the Louis C.K. event. I'll give you my thoughts on the South Island and how I went with my exams. And then what we will do is we will try and bring back some familiar faces. So, that is it for this week's James Ramblin' Show episode. I hope you enjoyed it, right? I know it felt all over the place, but we're just giving you the most infamous, iconic thing you could ever imagine when it comes to the James Ramblin' Show, because we have discussed so many topics, and it was like, let's just compile so many tangents and let's make a giant announcement for you all. And if anybody is kind of saddened by the news that I'm not returning for a little while, it's okay. Don't cry. It's just a dude talking on the internet that you probably forget in 24 hours. So don't cry about it, right? This show has, where we've had a lot of interesting episodes, but the show isn't over yet. We still have to get it going and get the party started with episode 50, which will be a big one. Trying to get that to January, right? I know I'm just going off right now, and the episode should have ended earlier. Alright. Okay, what I will say is, though, before we end the episode, is that I actually am going to do maybe an Enola Holmes 1 and 2 review, right? I might review both movies in the same episode, right? That's what you're going to get this week. I don't know how many reviews you're going to get as well because of the whole the exams, Louis C.K., South Island, all of that stuff. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we will see you in a little while, probably in December. See you later, alligators. It has been a fun ride, and you will see me in a few weeks. You'll see me in a little while. So stay tuned for that. If your patience is really bad, I'm sorry, but that's just how it is, and you're gonna have to cope with it. You're gonna have to use your copium well enough to the point where you actually can understand why I'm leaving for a little while, just to take a break and get all of this stuff sorted out and have fun and just forget about not making videos. And I'm kind of repeating myself right now, so bye, 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 bye.